We're going to have a bit of a double header here. We're going to talk about the launch of 2 local albums, which brings me to say welcome to the studio, Joe Everins from Daisy Chain and Paul Marsh from Coolibah Coolective.
Thanks very much, Tim. It's great to be here.
Hi, Tim.
And of course, the launch is happening at Smith's Saturday night. But before we get into talking about that concert, I suppose, tell us about Daisy Chain.
Well, so Daisy Chain, we play indie-folk music, but it's all based around songs that I've written. So I was a public servant for many years and retired about 18 months ago, and I've just put all my energy into doing music, really. I'm doing a few other things, but doing music, and Paul's been a great support in doing that, and so I roped him into playing in the band. I also roped in a couple of other friends, so Thomas Weaver and Margaret Lewis, and then I had done a song-to-studio course at the ANU, and so through that I met our drummer, Trev Edwards, so we just kind of built out from there, and we've now got enough material to put our own launch on, so yeah, that's happening on Saturday night. Very exciting.
And you say you're a folk band.
Yeah.
Your sound's been described as somewhere between the Seekers and Jenny Morris.
Yeah, I took that from, that was the lovely Fiona from The Lonely Fates. I hope she doesn't mind that I've been picking up her quote to describe us. But yeah, I think that's because we use a lot of harmonies in the songs. And then also we've still got a bit of a sort of a beat, a bit of a drive in quite a few of them as well. So I think that's where that comes from.
And you've said your songs explore friendship, hope, wonder, humanity, identity, connection, and the state of the world. I'm going, wow.
Wow, that's right. Well, there's a lot in there, but it's true. We try to make the songs really meaningful. So there's a lot of the songs that I think will provoke an emotional reaction from our audience, and that's a good thing. I mean, we're not sort of intending to make people upset or anything like that, but we want them to think. And so a lot of the songs have got a message in them. So even that one you just played, which is Last Words, that was sort of about trying to make people think about how they're speaking to one another and like really bring that into focus to say, look, what if those things that you just said were the last things that you left on the planet? Would you really be happy with that? And there's a few other messages in that song, and pretty much every song we have has got something in it somewhere that just pulls on that thread. And yeah, as you said, I've taken those influences from a bunch of different places, but particularly sort of thinking through Buddhist philosophy and stuff like that. So connectedness and nature and all those things.
Now, Paul, you're almost the senior partner here. Coolibah, and I didn't mean in terms of age.
Well, you're probably right about that.
Coolibah Coolective, you formed in 2020 while you're at Smith's.
Yes, it was interesting. There was a Friday gathering of ukulele players at lunchtime, and a bunch of us kind of were looking at each other thinking, oh, I like the way they're singing that, or I like the way they're playing that. And we decided we'd have a go at making a band ourselves. And so we formed a band, which was initially called the Flukelele Band, for the Friday Ukulele Band. And then we got hit COVID with a big thump. And one of our band members had a lovely big backyard in Coolibah Crescent in O'Connor, and so we used to go and be safely distant from each other and still play music together in the backyard, and that's how the name of the band came to be.
And you kind of were described originally as acoustic alt folk, but you've got a bit jazzier now.
Yeah, we've added a couple of folk to the repertoire to the band in the last few years. So Jasmine Fellows came on to play a cello in the band, and most recently Peter Briggs to play drums. And so with Joanne, Rod, and I, that made a 5-piece. And yeah, we've got a few more sort of rhythm-driven songs nowadays. Still a few sort of quiet ones. And interestingly, going back to what Joe was saying, the songs are written with that sort of. They've always got a bit of an inner hidden meaning, or not so hidden meaning, but they tend to be hopefully relatable to the people that we're playing them to. And so for some of the quieter ones, we don't want the rhythm to get too far ahead of the words, but some of them, are nice and rhythmic, which is great.
And your debut album was Teacup in a Storm.
Yeah.
We now come through to the second album, See the Sea.
Yeah.
Tell us about this new album.
So after the first album came out, it was great fun, but we still all had a few songs to write. And in the band, there's 4 out of the 5 of us have written songs for this new album. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to get a few more things recorded. And we had a bit more of a go at the home recording style this time. So that was a great experiment. And trying to record things in a home recording setting and finish them off. And See the Scene was an interesting thing. I was, sorry, I have to fess up to this. I was watching a YouTube channel where there's this bloke renovating this old French ruin. And there was this idea of See the Scene, where you were stood up on the walls of this broken down old place, seeing what the possibilities might be. And so that then became a song. And we also felt that with all the rest of the songs in the album, it kind of tied it up into a nice kind of concept.
And could you tell us about, I suppose, some of you, besides See the Scene, some highlight or favourite songs on the album?
Well, one of the things I love about it is that all four, of us who are songwriters have actually written songs for it. Joanne's written a couple of fantastic songs. One of them is about a place in Victoria called the Stick Shed, which was where during the war these bush carpenters built this massive place that stored all the grain in the war, so the stories like that. I wrote a song about a very well-known guy down in Cobargo who saved a lot of people's lives during the bushfire but lost his own. And Rod has written a great song about that day that we all love, the lazy day, Boxing Day. So there's kind of all these scenarios. Another song I wrote is called Mellow Street, and it's about a place that I think everyone could relate to, somewhere which is near where they live, that's familiar. They might go for a walk there. They might observe the changing of the seasons. So all these kind of reflections on the kinds of things that we experience.
So, Joe, it's your debut album, Playing with the Band. Could you tell us about that album?
I'd love to, because it was so much fun to do. I've actually been working with a local producer named Kay Answer at Lake City Recording, and he has done two things with us. So, firstly, he produced the Last Words track that you just played with me and a couple of other people in his small studio. But we worked with him and we went to the ANU and we put the whole band in the studio all at once and just played a bunch of songs that we had already, that we'd been preparing. I guess we thought we might get maybe 3 or 4 songs that day, and we just nailed it, and we got a whole album's worth of songs. So we decided to put it together and put it out as an album. So that's what you get in Playing with the Band. It was a hoot. It was really good fun, and we hope that energy comes through on the album. There's a few different types of songs on there. Some of them are quite upbeat. So there's one called Walk Along that's got a really sort of funky drive to it. And then there's others that are really contemplative. So the Last Words one that you played is actually the more produced version, but there is a version of that on there. There's also a lovely one also about the bushfires. So Paul was saying he sort of wrote a song about the guy from Cobargo, and the bushfires affected lots of us. So there's a tune on there called Brave Ones, which was my thank you to the bushfire fighters, actually, who did such an amazing job day after day after day working on those fires. And so there's some things that are at that end of the spectrum and others that are much more upbeat. And hopefully people will just enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun. We're in this to have fun. That's the whole point. All of the stuff we're doing. So recording our song, recording an album, having a launch, all this stuff has been just taking the next step to do something that's fun in exploring music as a sort of new thing for me and for the band members.
I mentioned that both of these albums will be launched Saturday night from 6 p.m. I hate to say this next part, if people have got interested, the gig is sold out.
Sold out, yay!
Which is congratulations to the two of you. But can you tell us what we can expect?
Oh, gosh, at the launch you're going to hear certainly from Daisy Chain, you're going to hear us play the whole album from start to finish. I'm not sure what Coolibah Coolective might do, but just before I let you speak, Paul, I'll just say if you did miss out on a ticket, we do have another gig coming up on the 14th of December at Smith's as well, with another fabulous local artist named Lisa Richards, and also Liberty Bell, another local group. So if you missed out on a ticket, go have a look at Smith's website and get one for the 14th instead. But Coolibah Coolective as well.
Yeah, so our album actually is a bit longer than Teacup and a Storm. It's nearly an hour of music, so we don't know that we'll be able to squeeze all of it in, but we'll play as many of the songs as we can. We often play gigs around town. We do a lot of community gigs, down at the Sly Fox in Sullivan's Creek and at Dixon Shops and around about. And we don't have any kind of programmed gigs yet for 2026, but there certainly will be some. So if anyone's interested, they can check out our, socials and find out what's going on, and we'll be playing for sure.
We've been talking with Joe Evans from Daisy Chain and Paul Marsh from Coolibah Coolective, and the chat has been about their brand new albums. Coolibah Coolective have See the Scene and Daisy Chain playing with the band. I normally mention Smiths and 6pm at this point, but it is sold out, as we said. I'd like to thank both of you for dropping by and filling us in.
Anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Tim.